There comes a moment in every person's life that nobody prepares you for. The moment you wake up, look at yourself, and realize you don't recognize the person you became. Not physically, psychologically, internally, spiritually. Your thoughts don't feel like your thoughts. Your behaviors don't match your values. Your desires don't lead anywhere. Your dreams feel distant, blurry, foreign. It's the quiet collapse of identity, and it destroys more people than poverty ever could. Let's talk about why some people sink in that moment, and why others rise from it stronger than ever. 1. Poor minds panic when identity collapses. Rich minds rebirth themselves. When poor thinkers lose identity, they cling to distraction. They try to numb the emptiness. New habits, new people, new stimulation, new escapes. They don't rebuild, they camouflage. They keep the broken identity alive through noise, comfort, and fantasy. Rich thinkers? They understand that identity death is not a crisis, it's an invitation. An invitation to evolve. An invitation to shed the old self. An invitation to rise. While poor minds run from the void, rich minds step into it, because the void is where creation begins. 2. Poor minds search for meaning externally. Rich minds build meaning internally. Poor thinkers look for identity in relationships, approval, entertainment, validation. They don't know who they are without noise. They can't sit with themselves. There's nothing inside. Rich thinkers know meaning isn't found. It's constructed, piece by piece, habit by habit, choice by choice. Poor minds ask, who will give me purpose? Rich minds ask, what purpose will I create? That is the difference between drifting and building. 3. Poor minds chase what feels good. Rich minds chase what feels true. Poor identity is built on survival and emotion. Rich identity is built on principles and discipline. One collapses in hard times, the other crystallizes. When life becomes heavy, poor minds drown in impulses. Rich minds anchor themselves to their chosen identity. You can always tell which path someone is on by the way they handle struggle. Poor minds regress. Rich minds transform. 4. Poor minds let the past define them. Rich minds let the past instruct them. When poor thinkers lose identity, they cling to old versions of themselves. Old stories, old failures, old wounds. They replay the past until it replaces the present. Rich thinkers mine the past for information, not identity. They say, I am not who I was, I am who I choose to become. Identity becomes an active project, not a passive inheritance. 5. Poor minds obey emotion. Rich minds obey intention. When identity is shaky, poor minds fall into emotional chaos, overthinking, guilt, shame, avoidance. They let feelings control their direction. Rich minds rely on structure, habits, standards, discipline, clarity. Where emotion fails, structure saves. Where doubt grows, discipline anchors. Identity is not built by feelings, it's built by repetition. 6. Poor minds fear the unknown self. Rich minds pursue it. Poor people cling to the familiar, even if it's painful. They would rather stay in a broken identity than face uncertainty. Rich thinkers understand something profound. You meet your true self only by walking into the unknown, not by comfort, not by safety, not by routine. The unknown is where potential lives. 7. Poor minds decay, rich minds reinvent. The poor identity slowly fades. Less ambition, less courage, less clarity, less self-respect. It dies quietly. The rich identity resurrects itself. New standards, new vision, new purpose, new strength. Reinvention is a skill, and only the brave learn it. 8. Poor minds choose unconscious living. Rich minds choose intentional existence. Most people are not alive. They are automated. Patterns run them. Habits think for them. Emotions direct them. Comfort controls them. They don't choose life. Life chooses for them. Rich thinkers break the autopilot. They choose their thoughts. They choose their habits. They choose their identity. They don't find themselves. They design themselves. 9. The truth nobody wants to hear. Identity isn't lost. It's abandoned. You lose yourself the moment you stop choosing who you are. When discipline fades, when standards drop, when purpose weakens, when comfort becomes your God. You don't lose identity, you surrender it, and the world rushes in to tell you who to be. 10. The final, brutal truth. Most people never rebuild. Winners always do. Poor minds stay empty. Rich minds fill the emptiness with intention. Poor minds hide behind who they were. Rich minds walk toward who they must become. Poor minds fear the death of the old self. Rich minds celebrate it, because the death of the old self is the birth of the unstoppable self. There will come a day when you no longer recognize yourself. That is not the end. That is the beginning. Because the most powerful version of you is always born from the ashes of the version you outgrew. The question is simple. Will you rebuild, or will you disappear?